Welcome to the Books and Beer Book Club, coming to you from Cercis Brewing Company in Columbus, Wisconsin. We're a different kind of book club, only reading books by authors who can visit us in person or via Zoom for the discussion. We've been going strong since 2015, meeting nearly every month. We're now making these fun and informative discussions available to you on video. I'm your host, Valerie Beal. I'm an author myself, and I enjoy interviewing our guest authors and facilitating the questions from our readers both in person and on Zoom. We hope you enjoy this replay. To join us live, please check out our schedule on our Facebook page at Books and Beer Columbus.
So welcome everybody. We have a returnee tonight, Joy Ann Ribar. Ribar. That's right. Ribar. You got it. Somebody screws that up all the time. Are you 5 letters? Are you nice about it when people screw it up?
I don't correct them. It's called Wisconsin nice, right?
It is
right?
Wisconsin nice.
It's Wisconsin nice. Whatever you want to call me. I think they call Joanne.
Well, there's a space and all between those, yeah. But you write as Joy Ann.
I do.
Because is there another Joy Ribar?
There's not, but I was trying to. When I get mail or email, I figure if somebody is addressing it to Joyanne, that I know that they want the author name. But the other reason is I am number 6 of 7 kids, and so I was always in trouble. So I was always Joyanne.
Yeah. Are you the youngest?
6 out of 7.
Okay, so were you called all your other siblings' names?
That too.
Then they were really mad.
Yes.
When they went through everybody else before they got to you.
Go through the whole list, including the brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I would call it
right. Yeah, that's great. I love
it. So I'm trying to think. I know you were here in December, and I think it was we read your first book. The first book, Deep Dark Secrets, in your Cozy series.
Yes.
And now look at you guys. You can see it here. And Brenda, she's got all her books laid out here for you on Zoom. She's got 5 regular installments and then the Christmas novella installment.
Yes.
And we're not talking about these tonight. We're talking about the other series.
Which and for those people who are like, oh, I hope you have the second one out. I don't have the second one out yet. So hold your breath.
So okay. So this question was on page 2. So how far along are you, and what will that one be called?
That one will be called Shakespeared, with an emphasis on a spear, ED, like speared in the park. And it will be out. I'm going to say it. I'll just say it. It will be out in January. It will be. I'm about a third of the way through.
This is good. I do that stuff too. I say things like, "Oh, you need another book for Irish Fest next year? Sure." I don't know what it's going to be yet.
Right. But you nod and you look very confident. And so then everybody.
Well, you already know what it's going to be. You've got a title. You're
right. Right. Oh, I do. I have it. It's all outlined. And I'm really itchy now. I've been doing so many book events over the summer, and that has kind of put writing on the back burner. And now I'm getting really itchy to write.
So since you were last here, I mean, some people maybe follow you on social media, so they know all this. But you had a change of living circumstance that you have moved to RV living, and then that certainly has impacted your writing schedule. I mean, just changing how and where you're living impacts all of that. So are you writing with the responsibilities of not being a homeowner, helping you write, or is the switch over, has that been tough to keep your writing schedule going?
I think it's been, for the most part, easier. There's a lot less distractions. I mean, the RV is small. There's only so many excuses you can make. You can't just keep making excuses that things need to be cleaned, because they don't. You can't make yard work excuses because it doesn't exist. So that means you have to sort of, I have to be more disciplined, and it's okay. It's good. It's really enjoyable to be able to actually sit and focus inwards. It's the only way to do writing in an RV. My husband sits about 6 feet away from me in the RV, working on the computer. He's a programmer, and sometimes he has headphones on. A lot of times he has Zoom meetings like we're doing here, and so he's 6 feet away from me, and he's yakking away, and so you have to go in. And that's what I would say about anybody who writes. You have to go in anyway. So the distractions are always going to be there.
Do you listen to music when you write? Sometimes. Can it have words?
No,
Me either.
no, because then I start singing for one thing, or you start typing. I mean, you can't.
I can do instrumental, or the music can be like if my husband's playing music down the hall in his office.
Yeah,
that's fine because it's far enough away. It's just sort of like being at a cafe where there's like some ambient noise, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't like have it close to me.
Right. Sometimes I'll listen to like Sirius XM has so many different stations, and sometimes I'll listen to one that just plays like salsa music, and then so they're singing in Spanish, so then I'm not really paying very much attention. So if you get the foreign language, French Canadian, that's some really interesting music. Sometimes you need a different kind of music to get the creativity going.
True though. I mean, like it touches a different part of your creative brain.
Yeah, it does.
You were recently took a really fun trip to Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
And are you going to write it at all? Do you like any blog posting about that? Are you going to leave that at all into the same story sometimes? I know you had a great time.
I did, and I'm working on, oh boy, so this is where you set the writing aside. I still have a tab up on the computer that is my Colombian journal that I'm trying to transfer from, I wrote every day, and transfer it onto the computer so that I can put it in a book with photos and give it to my daughter and my grandkids, because I went with them on this trip. So I wanted it to be really personal and share it that way. And I posted about it on Facebook and Instagram, but I haven't done anything extensive with it. And I don't know, it's really near and dear to my heart. It was a wonderful trip. And so I want to do something with it, but it's like sitting there percolating without a plan.
So with the second book being Shakespeare, does Babe Browning get to travel? Or is it all gonna take place in this general fictitious
Fairy Ridge,
which is technically
Fairy Ridge would be if Sun Prairie and Maple Bluff and Madison combined together. Okay, that's what Prairie Ridge would be. Yeah, that's my vision of Prairie Ridge. And it has a college, which doesn't exist. It's
right.
And it has a decent time story though. Yeah,
I know. When I went, that's very funny, because when I went into Sun Prairie and I started snapping photos, I went, "There's my 10-story building." Oh boy, I'm in trouble. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that now. It's clearly the only 10-story building in that city, right? I know.
Well, if there's one that now, there will be someday,
right?
I mean, probably.
But Shakespeare in the Park will be. So Babe Browning in book 2 has co-written a play, which is a Shakespeare parody, and it's called Shakespeare's Couch, where a bunch of famous characters from Shakespeare will then land on this talk show, and they'll be talking about Shakespeare, and they'll be dishing the dirt on each other, and
super funny.
I would like to try to write. I'm writing some of it while I'm writing the people.
You should have a companion. You should actually have that script.
Okay. So that will be out in 2027.
And then you can do book events where people have to take on a part.
Oh, that would okay. See,
but then there have to be drinks, because you would never be able to get people to do that without.
But
drink.
But we drink, yeah, but still, such a good time. There's a reason Valerie is my publicist.
And then,
So she's doing this summer production with the college, and of course there will be more tragedy than there'll be comedy, but there will be a lot of tragedy as the dead bodies start to stack up on
it's
stage.
Shakespeare. You got to balance that out.
Exactly.
You a fan of American Players Theater?
Yeah, I am.
So you can go out there and get some different scenes and kind of.
Maybe they would like to buy the script with us.
You know what we're doing? So we had the actor.
Oh yeah, Jim DeVito.
Jim DeVito was
yeah.
one of his written books.
Yes, I knew. I saw that somewhere.
And everyone was like, "Oh, you should try to get Jim DeVito to come, here." And I said, "Well, I can ask." And it was between Milwaukee Rep and the beginning of APT starting. It was right,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Beer, I'm in."
Oh, that's great. Oh, I bet he was wonderful.
But you know how funny though, right? Because you would think, "Oh, you're so busy. There's no, like you could talk yourself out of asking, right?" And then he was like, "Cool, let's do it."
That's
So you could go hang out with them. I bet they would say,
okay, I'll think about it.
So the costume tour, they have a backstage
costume tour.
I need to do that before I finish the book. You people have so many good ideas.
We're just messing around.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So I was thinking today a lot about the difference between your main characters. Now we got Frankie Champagne, who is not Babe Browning.
Exactly.
They're very different people. I'm
Exactly.
really not sure Frankie Champagne and Babe Browning would be friends.
I doubt it. I don't think they would have a lot of time for her.
No,
She's too sweet.
and she's fun and funny and whatever. She's more lighthearted.
Yes, she is definitely.
So
look on the bright side of everything.
true. And Bay's more serious. She's an English professor.
Yes,
And she's got a little bit more of a prickly persona.
she does.
It works though, I think, within the story. But it's kind of fun that you've written both, like both types of characters. I mean, a lot of people kind of stick in one lane. Was Babe percolating around in your head for a long time as you were starting with the Frankie Champagne series? Or
She wasn't.
I just want to know where Babe came from.
Well, the whole idea for the series was born out of the fact that I was missing teaching. I wondered English, and I taught literature, I taught mythology, I taught creative writing, I taught AP literature and poetry and plays, and I was just missing it. And when I started thinking about how much I was missing it, I thought, once you write one series, it's easy to say, oh, here's an excuse to write a different series, and I could make it all about literature, and I could have a teacher as the main character. And I wanted her to be an English professor, and I wanted her to not be like Frank. So I had to think that through. I wanted her to be younger, for one thing, because I was hoping that she would have an appeal to maybe a younger audience. Not that Frankie doesn't appeal to a younger audience, but
it makes sense that you would have a younger age. I mean, it's a logical segue to try to draw them in.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And so, and the other thing is, I guess I was trying to think about people who were in their 30s, and the people I know in their 30s are my daughters. And I have a daughter with a salty personality, and she doesn't know this, but she knows she has a salty personality. Bad she doesn't. But yeah, I was kind of thinking about her and how she interacts with other people and how she goes inward. She's very introverted, and so that sort of is how Babe Browning sprung up, and she's not my daughter. She's different in a lot of ways, but has some similarities in personality. And I wanted her to be introverted. I wanted her to be a person who said, I don't want to be an amateur sleuth. I want to sit inside my little reading bubble. I want to read by the fire. I'll grade my papers. I'll shut the door to my office, and I'll just be a worker bee. And I'm not, I'm not embracing this idea of of jumping in on this case, but she kind of needs to be dragged into it by first the police,
Right.
and then her partner, her working partner, colleague, who's like, I'm totally into this. Let's go.
Right.
So I just, yeah, like I said, I want her to be a very different kind of a character.
And this is, I mean, so I was reading through your reviews today, and some people are calling this cozy, but it's not cozy. And I don't think you meant to write a cozy. I mean, I think that they're saying it's cozy because the violence is pretty much off the page,
Right.
and you don't cuss
Right.
in it.
Right.
I mean, but that's not all that defines a cozy. So,
Right. Right.
this is very, so I just thought you were looking for just something very different, in a way,
Right.
we really weren't going to do like the cozy path on this one.
Right. Supposed to be much more traditional.
I think it
traditional
is.
mystery.
Yeah.
Edgier.
And I don't think that cozy readers will not like it. I just think it's just not a traditional, bright covered, food related.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's all those
Right.
cues that we get
Right.
for cozies.
Right.
But the fact that she's also reluctant, because you don't get reluctant sleuths
No.
and cozies. They're usually all the nosy people, and they're all
Right.
in.
They're all
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
I just thought that part was kind of fun because you warm up to Bay through the book.
Yeah.
Because at first you're like, I don't like her. Like you're not
Oh,
sure.
exactly.
But I think she kind of fits in a way, like some of the personalities I do know in academia, right? That are like a little more prickly.
She does. And she also had, she's got such a different growing up experience. I mean, she loses her mom at a young age, and she's got this gap in her childhood memories that she doesn't know how to fill that gap. She was shuffled around quite a bit from aunt to father. Her and her sister. Her sister was the big constant in her life, and then her sister betrays her, basically,
Right.
or she sees it as an act of betrayal. She becomes a con artist and bounces in and out of their lives so much. And so I think that the Bay you meet in the beginning and the Bay you find at the end are different people because she's going through this, even in the course of this murder, of this series of murders that are happening in her town.
Well, if you've read the book, then then some of those blanks get filled in for her, which is great first book in a series material because now we've got her backstory and we're like, and we get it. We understand her more.
Yes.
So we can build on that.
Yes.
But I love that you have the sister being this like fresh out of prison grifter that she does. I mean, she could have just said, no, you can't live with me.
Right. It's a lot of pressure from her father. Like I mean, the bottom line, she's family. And and how many of us, as soon as you play the family card, what are you going to do? You actually going to turn that person away? Probably not going to.
Right. Right. Show of hands. Show of hands. Cass, live with that. Nobody's going to answer. I would have. I read this. I don't know.
I know. She's like that too. She sets up a ton of rules, which of course
she breaks immediately.
Exactly. So, and then she finds out that she needs her. She actually needs her sister.
Yes, and her sister really turned out to be an asset.
Yes,
in this whole thing.
Yeah, and she's a very fun character. I love her because she's got a lot to play with, and she has so much stuff that's happened in her life, and that's still a mystery. So, there's just a lot of material to work with going forward because she'll stay in the series.
Good. So you got kind of an arc a little bit planned out for. Do you have an idea for how many books? Should I not ask yet?
Maybe 4.
Yeah. Will Frankie keep going?
I have a lot more Frankie ideas.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just one a year for each.
Yeah. I have to go to one a year. So I've been trying to do 2 a year.
It's one for each series. It's too much.
It's too much. It's hard to live in one character's world, and then while I'm editing, I was editing this, I was writing that one, and
I didn't really think about that because it's way easier when you're firmly in that same space. It's one thing to be editing the same series, like book 4, writing book 5, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. So, but we'll see. You never know. I mean, if I have a surge of creativity and I'm on board to tears in the RV. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Cass, we've got Detective Downing. So there's like maybe some romance of brewing there, right?
Yeah, and he also has a past that has, you don't really know anything about, and not much of anything about it. It's very private, and and so
we'll unpack that.
Yeah, so that'll be unpacked, and and that's one of the things that I think that is why there's chemistry between Bay and the detective, is because they both are guarded. They're very guarded people, but there's this banter between the two of them that's quick and it's a little prickly, but they don't mean. I don't think they mean to be prickly. I think it's just like this is my modus operandi.
Well, and
so we're just
neither one of them takes it as prickly.
No,
because
they kind of laugh.
Right. So I mean, it'd be different if one of them was more like cranky.
Right.
That wouldn't work.
No,
she'd be offended all the time.
She would. But these two enjoy it. They just keep sounding off and bouncing off with one another. So I really like their rapport, and we'll see what happens. But actually, I wrote a scene today, and it was a little what for me, steamy for me. So don't get too excited, because there's not a lot of steamy in my books. There was a smoldering look.
Close state on.
Yeah, they were in public. Yeah. It's a public smoldering moment.
It would be really fun if Bay ends up at like Frankie's shop sometime.
Thought about it.
That could be really fun.
I think it could happen because I think she would be a wine drinker for sure. She is a wine drinker, so I think she could drag. Who knows? For some reason, maybe come out to either Bubble and Bake or out to the vineyard. Because the vineyard might get its own little wine tasting room too. I know Frankie's still got a lot to do.
She really does. She should get to work.
I know. She needs to.
So I really liked clearly English teacher type references, like all your literary references, and then art, a lot of art references too. So, but do you, are you a big art fan? Do you frequent museums and something like that?
Yeah,
Fun to layer that in.
It was really fun. I took art history classes at UW when I went to college there, and I totally loved art history. And then art, so often a subject in art is from mythology. A lot of times it's from religion, but they use a lot of mythology in art. So I thought they paired really well together. And I went out and researched. I did a lot of research. I researched a lot of artwork. All that artwork is real.
Yes. Yeah. If anybody cares to look it up, we're like making up, whatever.
Right. Yes. And I would love people to go look for it, because then the descriptions, it's not easy to describe art. It's a lot easier to it's meant to be a visual. So it's a lot more fun if you can go look at the visual itself and then go back and read.
Well, and I think about that too, like how all of these things, like we talked a little bit about music, but the art, and then how even literature, you're writing, but you're writing in a very different style or whatever, but how all of your knowledge of character that you had to teach for years, what all these things provide, there's different layers. You have to know what you're talking about, right? You say you try to bake right through, but
right. No,
you can tell when people do.
You
I guess.
can. I think you can. I know that some people will do and do it, and I'm not offended by that if that's the road they go down. But I really work on authenticity, and that's why I do a lot of research, because I don't I don't think I'm imaginative or creative enough to make it up and make it believable. So I don't do the research.
Yeah, it's for those like actual things, but I mean, you're so creative. Like you're incredibly creative. So I mean, for years you taught, it was always high school?
I still in college.
Okay, yeah. So did you, like as you're reading and teaching, different pieces of literature or whatever, did you think you were going to write your own stuff one day?
Never.
Okay.
No. No. I mean, people who know me have probably heard the story. My husband told me years before I started writing that I wrote, a couple, I wrote like some pieces, things like that. And he said, you need to write a book. I said, never. In fact, after a while, I just said, stop saying it. Stop bothering me. I'm not going to. So just please don't stop mentioning it. It just sounded awful to me. It really did. It sounded daunting. It sounded, it sounded terrible. No, seriously, because thinking about, you can think about writing something, obviously for, college papers and things like that. Right. Yeah, okay, I can drum up a 20-page paper, but a book? So I did that. It's just strange. It just happened very organically.
Did you tell anyone you were writing this when you first started to write? No. I didn't either with my first one. Obviously your husband knew you were writing it.
No.
You didn't?
No. We had a bigger house than that. So he was at work.
That's true.
I was
hammering away in the day when he was at work.
Hammering away on the computer. And I was about 8 chapters in, and I said, I think I might be writing a book. That's how I worded it. It might be.
I love that. Well, so you had this idea and you were thinking, I'm going to give it a try. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's just see if I can do it.
Well, the characters wouldn't leave me alone. I was losing sleep. Yeah, I was losing sleep. And I thought,
you did medication for that.
I know. But I was really into it because then they were keeping me awake. I was like, and what else? And what else? And then what are we going to do? And then I thought, this is silly.
Well, that's when you know you're a writer, when the characters bug you until you put them on paper, right?
Yeah, they do. And the more you get to know the characters, they start telling you that you're wrong about things. What are you writing? I would never say that. I would never do that. I would not talk to that person that way. Just stuff like, right?
Kind of funny.
Or you have the wrong killer. Midway in the book, wrong killer. Switch gears.
And you have done that. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Where you just get it's kind of like an aha moment. You're like, oh, yeah. What I did kind of like. Do you outline?
I do.
Yeah. So what you had maybe in your outline as your villain, and you're like, and you get a few chapters in, and you're like, this is
as a person, you find somebody else that has a much better motive, and it just comes to you.
You wouldn't know that until you're in the middle of it, because you can't run after that kind of imagine,
right? Because the outlines are so brief, and it's just it's just a little who, what, when, or who kind of a lot of what, but a who and then all of a sudden the details fold in, and the conversations happen, and that's when you start to see different things and patterns show up that you didn't expect.
So why mystery? Did you always read a lot of mystery?
I did. I did. Starting with, everyone here is young. The Bobbsey twins. Trixie Belden.
I have a whole shelf of Trixie Belden.
I loved Trixie Belden because she had to go places and go on adventures, and she had Honey, and Honey had a horse.
I wanted to be Honey.
Because Honey was wealthy with horse.
Cool too.
I think so. I can't remember. I don't think Honey was much of a pond person. So I loved all that, and then that evolved into like Phyllis Whitney, Victoria Holt, and
Back in the day when nobody cared what you checked out from the school library.
Right. I know. I was reading way above grade level. Yeah. I mean, maturity level, let's put it that way.
Well, we didn't, I feel like there wasn't like this whole YA section back in the day. And then you just went from kid books to like adult literature and yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And there weren't as many options either. I mean, unless you really want to backtrack and go into like the classic mysteries like Agatha Christie, because we read those. We had those on our shelves at home too. But it's so much different now, where you can just you could never have enough room and time for all the books that are being written, and mysteries are hugely popular.
So did you teach a lot? I mean, when you think about like the AP, like the list of AP lit list of books, I mean, there's really no mysteries out there.
Really? No, I can't even. No, because we the freshmen and like the eighth graders and freshmen kids would read Poe. They read Poe stories, and so that was this,
which are plenty creepy.
Oh, they were really creepy, and also there's a lot to unpack in there for a freshman. But
I still remember the one, and I can't remember the name of it. It creeped me out so much. And it's the one with the bell and the snake, right? It's it comes down the bell pole, the snake. Oh, what is the name of that one? It's
you stumped me. I don't know.
All right, I didn't. We read no. I don't know if that was just typical for curriculum.
I think
for like freshmen, but it was the first time I'd ever read Edgar Allan Poe, and I was like, this is like, I don't want to sleep in that without a freaked out. Right. So, and it's interesting to me that in a way, you focus probably on tons of classics and stuff, but you went with your what you love to read to write, which it kind of makes sense that you would write like most of them read. But you read a lot of different stuff. Do you think you'll ever read or write something that's a different type of, like more literary fiction or romance, perhaps?
I don't think I'm going to write a romance. I used to read a lot of romances, though. I mean, I read the Harlequins and oh my gosh. Do you remember Barbara Cartland? She basically wrote the same romance every time. 105 of them, but you could read them in an hour.
And it would be just a different.
It's a different duke or count or and the girl that had nothing. The Cinderella story,
right?
And
you're right. It was the same story.
It was. But when you were 14, you're like, oh.
So no romance.
So no, I don't think any romance. Maybe, but there's a little romance. It's fun to weave a little romance into history.
I think it is too, because there's a suspense or energy to that too. That's kind of fun to throw in there, and it's it's mysterious as well. Will they get together? Will they not get together?
Yes, I mean there are some. I mean, if you go back to the golden age of mysteries, though, and the real classic mystery writers, they didn't like romance mingling in with their mystery.
They didn't do it.
No, they didn't do it.
I think Chrissy never did.
No, she wanted that. She wanted it. Something about the purity of the sleuth and the mystery itself. And I don't even mean purity in a sexual way. I mean, just she wanted that person to be purely respected for being able to solve the mysteries and follow the clues and being kind of academic about it. And she just didn't. I think she thought romance was just a bunch of fluff.
Distracting them from their primary job, solving, finding the murder.
Yeah, exactly. If I could write something else, I would love to write something historical, some historical fiction.
Yeah,
I just know
with a mystery twist or just straight historical.
Maybe. I mean, I think there would still be a little mystery.
You probably would never write anything that didn't have some suspense. I think like that, right. Something to put at.
I like that because otherwise, I think if I pick up a book, unless I know it's straight history. When I pick up a book, I want there to be something that has to change or be figured out or
set the tension.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you really don't have a plot. Yeah. So I have to ask you about your naming of your characters. So somebody was.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Do you have a question that you want to answer?
About the naming of the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your main character's name. It's complicated.
It is.
Bay, but it's not. It's
Lulu Bay.
It's
And then
Lulu Bay.
wow.
And right. I mean, it's the backstory. There were people, and I'll tell you that I've taken a little flack about it because people said, I don't understand. Why is she LL and Bay and Lulu and Lulu Bay? And I said, well, that's because she's evolving as a human being too. So she's got her personas. I mean, she's a 30-year-old head of a department at a college. So, you know, she's not going to be Lula Bay Brownie. It's just not going to work for her, especially when she feels like the story of her name is so sentimental, coming from her sister. Now she's ticked off at her sister. Why in the world, you know, she's like, I have to be respected. And then people won't know if I'm a man or a woman, if I'm LL. So that was kind of her, like, I want to have this persona because I'm so young and I feel like I have to earn respect in any way I can. But then, of course, in her family, she Lulu, it's her nickname. But then she kind of has come into the name Bay all on her own, and so, you know, in the new book, she's gonna drop. You'll be happy to know she's gonna drop almost all those names, and she's just gonna be Bay Brown.
Yeah, more LL.
No more LL.
But where did you
It's
get
gonna be one.
Lula Bay
Yeah.
Like, I was just curious. Like,
I don't know.
I mean, you just made it up.
I did.
It didn't come from something from a store or something.
No, it's just a made up name. I know I wanted her to be. I wanted to come up with. If you read a lot, there's so many character names out there, and people are always trying to come up with that catchy name, that memorable name. And I don't know. Usually when I go out for a walk is when everything comes to me. And when I was out for a walk one day, I think just the name Bay came to me, and I really like that name.
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, maybe there should be a story centered around it. And then once I knew she was going to have a grifter sister, because I knew there had to be two very opposite kind of characters in the series that I really wanted to play with. And so that was when I decided, okay, she's going to be an older sister, and she's going to be the one who's going to name her. And so then I just came up with the idea of the lullaby, but she couldn't say lullaby, and that was it.
There was somebody complaining about the last names of the detective and a Bay.
Yeah.
Browning, Downing.
Yeah.
And they apparently couldn't handle that.
No, couldn't handle it. And I say, look around you. It happens all the time. It's gracious. You have, you know, think about all the people you know. It's like, it's not all that common.
My legal last name is Johnson, so I mean, one of my sisters is a Smith. I mean, you're right. There's all kinds of common last names, but same endings.
I'm gonna have to write them down next time, because I had ideas of like, oh, well, here's one, and I've seen it. But I knew I wanted her to be Browning because I wanted her to be named after the poet Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and that's why her father was Barrett Browning. Okay, because I want them to be from this kind of quirky family where there's paranormal stuff on one side of the family, and then there's just this literary stuff on the other side. And then when I honestly named him as I was writing, and it didn't even dawn on me. It didn't even dawn on me.
That they rhyme?
Yeah. And then someone who was an early reader said, this is so annoying and kind of silly. And I said, okay, I'm keeping it.
Wait, that wasn't me, was it?
No, it was not. No, it was not you.
I don't remember being
No. I mean, it doesn't, their names don't come up that often.
But their last names wouldn't necessarily, I mean, they did in the beginning because they're getting to know each other. But after a while, they're not going to probably use each other's. I mean, you'll introduce them in the story with their last name.
Yeah.
You need to.
Excellent.
For the Frankie Champagne series for the Deep Lakes, do you have like a series Bible with all the names of everybody? And so you're probably you'll be starting that for.
I already have. Yeah. I was smart enough to start it right away while I was writing this one, whereas I didn't start until I was writing the second one. And then I only did like a minimal because it was so immersed in writing the second one. And then by the time I wrote the third one, I said, gee, I can't remember any street that any of these businesses are on or who's running them or what their names are. And I better just go back to decide to reread Deep Dark Secrets.
Yeah,
And then I put it. Yeah.
No, I mean,
It just
you
made
gotta have a quick reference guide, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's because it's too many people
It
and
is.
how people die.
And people, and I have an editor who remembers everything. My gosh, talk about, I mean, which is good for me most of the time, but sometimes it's really, sometimes I'm like, oh, how did you remember that? Because I didn't remember it. So, you know, she can remember something from book 1, and here I am writing on book 5, and she goes, wasn't the owner of the Mud Puppy Bar's name, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what?
Who's your editor?
She's my sister.
So one of my sisters just read my forthcoming mystery, and she was doing things like that. Like, you know, I think you said whatever in chapter 1, and I'm like, oh, I don't think so. And then I did.
Yeah. I hear you.
It's easy to, and part of it is too is if you stop writing and then come back to a manuscript, and then you kind of a gap.
Yeah, there is a gap, and she will be one. I mean, it's good that she will catch it because, and I mean, people must think, well, you don't even go back and reread your stuff, but you reread it so many times, but you don't. But you're looking for certain things while you're doing your own editing, and so you know, she'll tell me, well, it's Thursday again. I mean, you just had Thursday. I don't know what you're doing, but you gotta change the day.
No, and I have issues with that too. And actually, my sister just went 6 days. She was in the margin, and I'm like, yeah. So the 10. Wait, and I was counting over the weekend. I'm like, yeah, it's Tuesday. Wait, I don't know. You need sometimes help with this stuff.
I know. I mean, she'll say like, okay, well, today's Sunday and the bakery's closed. Why are you selling bakery? Oh my gosh. I keep thinking, if I didn't catch it, do you think the reader will?
They will. No, they won't.
No, I always fix it.
It's just,
but it's so funny because I roll an awful lot. Well, because she just leaves comments in all the margins, and we just go back and forth that way. And she is meticulous, and I'm just glad I have her. She's my third editor. It must be really hard on editors. No, I liked my first editor, and then they left my publisher, and then my second editor. I really hope that person finds another profession.
Oh, he did a bad job.
Really, really poor, and I ended up getting it all then re-edited. Oof. And so I paid it. So I hired another editor and paid that person.
Expensive.
Yes. And then my sister, so that was when my sister was already reading, I was an early reader anyways. She was catching all these things, and she would go look them up on grammar.
Do you read your book out loud to yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just did that earlier this week. I read my entire book out loud to myself. Do we have questions about like the story or the plot?
Oh, I see questions brewing.
And I just wondered what school district or school you taught in school area.
Hardyville. Not far.
Not far from here.
Yeah.
Have you got anything on Audible?
I would like to get there. I'm not yet.
Did everybody finish? Book? Okay.
There's a couple of my
No, I will.
You mentioned that they probably won't travel. Are you having travel ideas for the?
I do. I have travel ideas for Frankie.
Frankie's gonna travel.
Frankie's going to travel. Where's Frankie going? Frankie's going to Ireland for one thing. Because Joy wants to go to Ireland. So
Maybe Frankie can meet up with some of my characters in Ireland.
Yeah.
We should look a little bit short story.
Yeah, a crossover. No, that would be fun. She's going to Ireland. She's going on an RV trip.
Not in Ireland.
No.
Please do not try to drive an RV.
No.
And even if you're a really good driver, that's hard.
No, the roads are too narrow.
They're really not.
Yeah.
So,
and she's going to a wine convention, probably in the UP of Michigan.
oh, there we go. Take a Napa.
Good. Well, that's right. I guess we have to go to Napa. Yeah.
By the way, the RV is now going.
Yeah. Yes. It's fun. That's one fun thing about RVing is there's so many more story ideas and places I want to weave in. And with Frankie, I thought I would do maybe spin off and do some deep lake departures.
Deep lake departures. That's alliterative. I like that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's not enough hours in the day for all the writing.
No. It's hard. There's enough hours in my life.
We'll see. Just do your best. Just type as many as you can. Okay, so do you have your Ireland trip planned?
Not exactly. No, we just kind of started. We started looking at some places, and I'm sorry, I'm cheating on you with another author. There's an Irish author named Ginny Alexander, and she writes the Irish.
Yes,
Really like Irish Village. Anyway,
really
yeah. So she added.
It's fine.
She said, she goes, well, maybe our character should maybe we could do a crossover. Well, I mean, there are plenty. I mean, there are plenty.
There are a lot of
ways to
Irish.
cross over.
Yeah.
My character would have to time travel to meet your character.
No, I have modern day.
Oh, you do.
I do.
In Ireland? Okay. Oh, all right. Well, then we're on.
You know that book I haven't written yet?
Yeah. Okay. All right. And where in Ireland is that taking place?
So this time-wise, or this is present day.
Yeah.
It'll be present day with some ancestry, but it's mainly my characters are in County Donegal, or they are in the area just outside of Dublin in the Boyne River Valley, where like Newgrange is, and the Hill of Tara, and all of that.
And Ginny Alexander is also right outside of Dublin. Yes. So
It's all
maybe it'd be like a triple crossover, triple cross.
I'm also good for a rehab. It's meeting a pub. The snug in the pub.
And it's not, yeah, it's not gonna put.
Well, let me know, because I have been.
You want to go back?
I want to go back, but I'm really good at like, tell me what you want to see, and I'll tell you the best places for that thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will. Oh, all right.
I fancy myself a little bit of an Irish tour guide.
Yes.
So
Yes. And such a woman who had to kick Tuppence out of her way when she climbed up on the scaffold. The puppets were so close. I know. Sorry. The puppets were so close. She could have kicked him out of her way.
there is an island off of the Ring of Kerry called Skellig Michael. They're called the Skelligs. And you have to get special permission. Well, not special permission. There's only so many tickets a day from like April to I think like October 1st. And then if the weather's bad, then they don't go out. And there's only like so many boats that go, and there's like 12 seats on each boat. But do you guys remember this scene with old Luke Skywalker at the end of Star Wars, whatever the heck number, and he's by those like little stone huts? Yeah, there's 600 steps to get up there. And Mark Hamill got airdropped in. He did not do the steps. So they say. Anyway, it's an interesting place, but if you go at a certain time, it's puffin nesting season, and you have to you aren't going to go off the stone steps because it's like death, but along the edges, the little puffins, and they just poke their heads out like you're getting a little close to my nest, and they're really cute. And yes,
Are really.
if I had wanted to kick puffins, I probably would have gotten kicked off.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean puppet. I was just really jealous because it's on my bird list.
It'd be so fun. For sure. So you have to go in that time frame so you can try to get one of those tickets.
Yeah,
Do it. It's one of the better things we've ever done.
and a lot of times, like Skellig Michael is shrouded in fog and mist, and I know we went with Greg and Molly and did and we did the Dingle Peninsula tour. So we
Way
saw
better. I
Skellig.
love that. It's better than the Ring of Kerry, I think.
It was awesome.
The Jingle Peninsula.
Yeah. And so we saw, we could see Skellig Michael, but we didn't go out there. And the people in Ireland are, by the way, really not thrilled about the Star Wars reference. Like they would like to just set that aside and say, when we talk about Skellig Michael, we don't want any references to Mark Hamill. This is not their
Which is why they like to point out that he couldn't get his back on like 600 steps, and then it had to be airdropped in. So I don't know. Yeah, that's fun. There's all kinds of things you could do with her, and
I know. Might have to stay around.
park that RV, get your passport out, and go for it. Do we have more questions about actually the book? Not just like an
Sorry.
Just a random one. Have you ever toilet trained a cat?
No, but I know people who have.
All right. So
Yeah.
you know a toilet trained cat.
Yeah.
Do they have wash?
Very random.
Do you know how to flush?
Well, it's very random, but it's also very Cassandra because Cassandra can't really necessarily be burdened with having certain possessions, especially pets. So it's more like she sort of sees her and Minerva on equal footing. Like, the cat is like, yeah, you could come hang out here, but I'll feed you, but otherwise you're on your own. So thank goodness you already know how to use the toilet. She's a low maintenance kind of a person.
It's funny, but random. That you're But I think that's fun when you put things like that in a story.
Yeah, I used to make my cat go outside. I had a box in the window and go out. You go outside, you come back in, and eat, sit around with us, and go outside.
That works. That was a cat in another life. That's the point.
Yeah, I can't enjoy it much.
Oh my
A
god.
different conversation.
It's all good. It's all good. So we've got Shakespeare speared in the
Yeah.
park.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
We'll look forward to that. That's
Yeah.
exciting. And then
I'm done with it.
will we have another Frankie Champagne book this 2020? No, 2029.
29, I don't know, it's possible.
Okay.
Maybe 2025, possibly, but I really, I feel like I want to write 2 big roundings
Okay.
because I have the
You like
third
to-
one.
You have to hit 3
Yeah.
Bay and then add on.
Yes,
Okay.
because I have the third one on line 2. So, it's
Do you have a title for that one?
Poetry Slammed.
So good. I like the title. This is fun. Okay. And then you got to write the script for that.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't, and I'm going to Ireland somewhere in here, so I just don't.
It's a long flight, right all the way there, right all the way back. It's all good.
Yeah.
Are there more questions, May? Thank you. Thanks for coming and joining us again.